What's up? What's happening? Yep, I might be back like on and on because information is pouring out, and even things that I have kept to myself or discussed with my leadership group concerning the sun, the moon, and the stars, and where we are on a spiritual level are coming up to be released. So the eclipse has a lot of people feeling maybe uncertain, right? And I know, that people that don't study everything within the world would have something to say about the eclipse and the discussion of it. But, here we are, we have the sun for a reason. And when the sun goes down, the moon is visible. And so we have to begin to really think about our thoughts and how we limit ourselves with knowledge. As you know, Ashley and I were on with me yesterday discussing, um, give them something to talk about. So here is something else for people to talk about that they may not like or want to embrace because they've embraced um, life the way that people programmed them. We remember gentrification, right? And we can go back into time and actually see where um, we were being equipped to um, live in a facade. However, some of the things that we're experiencing now is thoughts about our ancestry. Why did we come here? What are we supposed to be doing? Why is the world like this? And some people are going and having deeper experiences. They may be having dreams about ancestors that have passed on. I spoke in a video earlier that I put on my Instagram page about, a lot of ministers, leaders that were spiritual or are spiritual, explaining to us the spirit of familiarity. And, the spirit of familiarity is not just in our ancestors coming, because our ancestors even they warn us about things. It's not a clash, or it's a difference in the idea of how to describe and how to help people understand the topic of familiar spirits. But if we are not aware that that energy of a familiar spirit is with us, like the children of Israel, always going back to what was familiar, then what happens is that we unconsciously continue patterns that we're not able to break because we don't realize that we keep going back to the same thing. It's a different type of season or a different kind of individual, different clothing. The face looks different, but the energy is the same. And here, we are again. People don't want to talk about energy. They don't want to talk about anything that's going to help us to understand that from level to level and glory to glory is how we excel in life. That means that our thought process and our conversation has to evolve. But then, how do you get rid of that stuff? It's not just how you get rid of it, but it's your partaking in your spiritual adaptation, or whatever religion you were brought into, and then you might be called into a deeper level of religious practice that's going to excel you. Excuse me, it's a truck passing. um, that's going to excel you into spirituality, because spirituality is within the nature of breaking yokes. Religion can never break yokes until um, the word becomes one with you. The word is the empowering factor. And so you can religiously do something, even go to church every week, but until you become one with the word, nothing can be broken because your familiar patterns are always there. So the breaking of ancestral chains, they come through mysteries and secrets that people don't want to talk about. Again, when you look, if you decide to, as I present this information to you, at your north node and your south node, you're going to find as you study that your north node is a moon, your south node is a moon. That's what they are. And behind those moons, there are secrets that your families have had. I mean, under a Taurus North Node moon, what we're going to have in January is the revelation of where the money is. When you have been restricted and oppressed from money, you're going to be finding out where that money is. You may have known where it is, like, say, for myself. But if you don't educate yourself any further than what leaders are telling you, especially leaders that do not care about your evolution, your generation, your community, then what's going to happen is you're going to always be in a cycle. So I present to you, where is the family familiar spirit that holds people back concerning your ancestors that's warning you? Maybe your ancestors was, actually warning you because they had crossed over, to tell you that the leaders that you believe in is the cross that you have to bear because you believe in someone other than yourself. Okay. Now, getting back to the nodes and the moons, here we are with the South Node and Sagittarius and the North Node in Gemini. And I was telling some of the young ladies that I work with, again, because we have a leadership program, and we discuss exclusive things that people might want to know if they're into or they feel gravitated to spiritual things. I said to them, I said, well, when you look at your chart and you see the North Node and the South Node, it kind of looks like a cup, right? And if you think about a cup and it's in the south and it begins to tilt and it's pouring out, then it's emptying the trash that has been collected in the south aspect of life. And so someone would say, well, what does that mean? So right now, Sagittarius is the south node that we have working with. And, I just attribute it to the Greek gods and the information that I acquired, not just from books, but also from, seeing things in a spiritual level, that the Greek gods, especially Zeus, was a philanderer. And when I found myself going on and following what Spirit of Truth was leading me to, what I found is that I had the North Node and the South Node, Gemini North Node and Sagittarius North Node. South Node, and my dad did too. Anyone that has Sagittarius South Node right now is coming to an end and a completion with karma. Now that's going to be good or bad depending on what you've given to life and how you served and how you looked at people. And honestly, if you did that work that Jesus Christ, that information was leading you to, because the Christ definitely leads you to information under the sun, that there is nothing new under the sun. Even according to Solomon, in his words, the mysteries become unveiled when you practice to study yourself, when you practice to know thyself. So as I began to surrender to teaching some of the, I would say, Kabbalistic ways, because I had all of these things that were coming to me throughout my life, but I wouldn't study. I wouldn't do it because people over me, the leadership over me, was saying that it wasn't right. Maybe it wasn't right for them, but it was right for me, because what I find is that as I went on, embraced and broke the power of fear, I've seen things and learn things about the country that we live in that no one taught me in school. And I also learned about some things that my great grandmother would do to cure us of illnesses without going to the doctor, such as asthma. There's no cure for asthma, but sometimes there's an energetic connection to asthma, and it's found under Mercury. Anybody out there that's like Mrs. Doubtfire, look up Mercury astrology and its symptoms. You'll find asthma, respiratory issues are in the Mercury energy. So if you're a Gemini and you suffer with any type of mercurial type of respiratory type of complexes or if you suffered with even sinuses. If some people that have suffered with leukemia have that mercury composition, and I don't mean just mercury in the sense of the element, I mean the energy that mercury, the messenger, brings. So there's a lot of astrological diagnoses that people are not aware of that fall under astrological energy. So for me, I discussed that with my mother, and this is new, but I'm new like that. I think that rather than having been born a Capricorn, I probably, and I could see that I'm on the axis of being a Aquarian, because my mind is not is not limited. It's out there. So anyway, moving on from me, Jupiter is in the South Node, so it's in the South, and that means that North Node is the face that we want to look at. We want to look at what the North Node in Gemini is doing and saying. And that's for everyone, because the North Node came in a time for us to propel into the future. And that's what Gemini is about, futuristic things. Gemini has its negative traits just like Jupiter, because Hermes is the Gemini symbol, or God. Jupiter is Zeus. And so when we look at the energies or even look at these deities, what we find is that they have negative and they have positive. So a Jupiterian that does not know himself will lean and depend on things that are toxic, codependent, and non-conducive to productivity, mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? And so will the mercurial energy. So our lot in life, whether it's your sun, your moon, or your ascendant, does not matter. If you have it in your chart, it affects you right now, because everyone in the world is being encouraged in the Mercury energy to go forward, to deal with communities, to help people in the communities, to look after your neighbors. That's what that third house is about, right? And so when you don't follow that energy, or not, you don't know how to, what happens is that unknowingly you're setting up karma, and it's going to come back again when Mercury is in the South Node, because they shift. So whatever you did in 2012, or whatever took place in 2012 when Jupiter was actually in the North Node, is happening for you again. It's circled back around. And if you're unconscious, what's going to happen is that you're not going to realize that you keep moving from place to place. No satisfaction. You keep going from house to house. You keep going from man to man or woman to woman. You keep running from job to job. No satisfaction, because you're tied up in the loop of the moons, your moons or someone else's moon. More understanding if you took some sessions with me, but I wanted to give a understanding of Jupiter's trash being released right now, and it has been in preparation for that over the last year, which is why a lot of people have been breaking up. A lot of people will be, and they are coming back together, but it's important because, see, Jupiter is about that. It's all over the place, but it has to come to a place in this time where you're not all over the place no more. You're consistent with everything that you do. That's what's being called, because we're in the future. We're in a future of an energy and a God that is saying that, okay, old things have passed away. That's the way your mother and father did it. There was inconsistency in whatever ways that you experienced them, right? But that is ending. Why is it ending? Because God says that it's time for us to move into the future to create other things. Some of the things that were never created when Steve Jobs was here. Some of the things that even, like the computer came along. It's time for people to sit down and get a peace of mind so that there's a future creation of things that's going to propel our generations. And the connection at this time has to do with Mercury, because Mercury is about the community. It's not about overseas travel. It's about quick connections right here. What's happening in your house? What's happening with your neighbors? Are you able to extend a hand? And if you say no, I don't have nothing to give, I don't even have a loaf of bread, like Jesus said, if your neighbor come to you and they ask you for meat, what would you do? See, a lot of people don't know, because of the social construct, that they have been put at a limit. They're not doing things that they should, because we're interpersonal individuals. We're not to be so independent that we don't need anyone. And we're not supposed to be so dependent that we're needy. See, interdependence is the balance that we all need. And that means that there's some people out there that need to teach this to others, because all of the mental health challenges that we have come from people not knowing what to do with their life, because we've had imbalance upon imbalance, year after year, century after century. And there's only, certain people that's getting ahead. And so when you want to know, you will know, because there'll always be a message that's coming. So Jupiter, in its energy of, let's just say, non-agreement or negative, is something that comes into your life. It'll drop something off and leave, and you may not see it for another year, because it's inconsistent energy. Although it is a optimistic energy, it masks its energy until it matures. How does it mask? Because it will not tell the truth about how it feels. And we all have to be truthful with how we feel about life and what we're doing. You can't, let me reword that, you can be. But if you are a person that wants respect, Zeus, then you sit on your throne and you earn respect. And that's how you put the energy into Jupiter. It covers politics. The Jupiterian energy, it covers lawyers. Here I am saying liars. And so when you want recognition, lawyers, people that deal with escrow and real estate, all of these political areas that take us up higher, and they mandate a lot of money. It's not even just that, but Zeus, he had that energy that felt like he could masquerade himself as something else, such as a white bull, and take advantage of a woman. So this is not just about women, though. I just want you to know, I'm telling you how Jupiter and the Zeus energy, the gods, they changed their faces. Go read the information. What does that have to do with now? Because people have been living that type of familiarity and energy, and they don't even know it. They feel like, an instance of, let's say, mothers and fathers that don't raise their children. A lot of grandparents have raised children. Now you have a lot of men that's raising their children. If you birth a child, your responsibility and accountability is to that. So we have a lot of parents that feel like, well, I just feel like if I could just take care of them, I don't have to fulfill the home responsibility. Okay, good on you. If it makes you feel good about yourself to say that, then that's how you live. But what about the children? You see, because the energy of Zeus is a philanderer. Again, it's in and out. So in the North Node, when Zeus in 2012, or Jupiter was, the North Node, it was allowing people to see itself, giving its their ability to be free and out. Say like you're a traveler and you have a husband or a wife at home. Y'all should watch the Queen's Gambit, that kind of thing. Anyway, what was going on with her parents. So you have a husband or a wife that travels, and so when they're traveling, they have a different life. Yeah, they have a different life. And so then they come home and they're a different person. All of that is wrapped up in the energy of Jupiter and the South Node, even with drugs, because they have codependent issues. Codependency means that, yep, sometimes I need other men with me all the time. I can't be alone. You got to figure out which one it is. So 2012, some people was gathering that type of energy, and they didn't even know that they were putting this in their cup for this time where the South Node would come around and dump it out, and there would be exploitations. That's political as well. The dumping out of the trash would be exploitations of what you did in 2012 that you felt was right and you could do it. No one could tell you what to do. And you really felt that arrogant, egotistical type of way about you. You had no accountability to anything, but here's like the myth, the mythological god Zeus. You you're reigning. What kind of accountability does that leave when you reign over a kingdom? That you are doing things in the darkness, which is where the moon is. You feel like nothing, no one sees you. Yet, some of you speak of gods, and this is a God that did these things, right? I'm not being cynical. I'm just kind of like pointing it out because here it is. We have women and men the same way. Okay. And, some of us were on yesterday talking about church and the connection to state and church, right? And I'm not saying to disconnect, but I'm saying that if you're going to be about the church, then let's build it correctly. Meaning, nope, there ain't no perfection in nobody. But don't lie and make other people feel bad when you know you have indiscrepancies and infidelities, yet you're trying to rule a kingdom. Because there's a day of reckoning, such as right now, eclipse, cutting off all of that there junk and letting the light shine on your indiscrepancies. You gonna get mad at people because you've been exploited? No. What you do now, Jupiter, South Node, Zeus type of energy, is you change your way of being unless you like being in that type of position. You don't have to do anything. This is me presenting what's going on. And a lot of people are being, they're purging, they're crying, they're hurting, they're feeling the pain of the world, and they don't know what it is. Wherever you are in this message that I've given to you concerning there's a good karma, there's a bad karma. You created it. I created it. What can we do to change it in this time that Gemini is here? Even if this is the first day and you were someone that was out in the streets and you have been robbing people in 2012, this could be a day where you're hearing this message and you have Jupiter somewhere in your chart that caused you to actually function as a thief because you needed the experience of maybe going to jail or even looking at this video and saying, that's pretty messed up what I was doing to people. I need to make a change. Where the change is where you really believe that you were not right in your dealings. If you feel that way, then that means that you get a new start. And that's what Christ was talking about. Be ye conformed by the renewing of your mind. Yeah. Because renewing your mind is where the apology begins for yourself. Yeah, you can apologize to me and others forever, but you need to apologize to yourself for being a person that sabotaged your own life. That's what happens when we're corrupted and we have no compassion about how it affects others. The moon is about darkness, by the way. The connection with the moon has to do with the mother, and it has nothing to do with saying that mom is bad. What it has to say is that there's a connection with the mother energy, and then the sun gives us a connection with the father energy. It's something that is not taught. And so when an eclipse comes in, there's a middle part of that circle and it just becomes more compacted where they begin to blend and there's a unity between the sun and the moon. What happens to the part where it's being squished out or compacted and it's no more? See, that's the garbage I'm talking about. That's the trash 2012. Some people was collecting, doing whatever they thought they could do to people, Some people had been exposed. I'm looking at and hearing, Jeffrey Epstein. These people were a part of schemes that went on for centuries. You can go back every, I think it's 8 years, and you'll find that Jupiter's North Node is going to be consistent And then the shift of the Gemini North Node is going to come in where we are now. And Gemini is saying, okay, I'm the messenger, and I'm telling you, let's go forward. Let's move away from these distractions, and let's build in our communities, because Jupiter has had the chance in the last 8 years. Who was my dad? But he ain't did it. He was out there with that white bull stuff, dealing with Europa, creating his own kind of fantasies, believing that he'll never get caught, living in his own escapism type of lives. And we need to do some things right here because our communities have been oppressed. That's what Mercury is saying. And so I'm going to leave you guys with that, remembering that the sun and the moon is speaking. Don't let nobody else take away the natural composition of life, nor the elements of life that create your humanistic traits. Our ability to overcome humanism or the humanistic trait and adapt to spirituality is our ability to become transformed individuals that can live in this world as human beings that assist and help each other, that don't take, rob, steal, and kill each other. All right. So coaching sessions, you can email me at ifwbuilders@gmail.com. You can also be a part of our leadership program if you feel you're a leader, but also if you own a business. Tell somebody about this video, and subscribe and share, because sharing is not to make me rich. Sharing is to enrich souls, to make people want to think beyond what they hear others saying, to become an original individual. As I said earlier, see this finger? No one else has the DNA. No one has it. Only me. This is my identification, my body. The ID that I get from the drivers, whatever they is here, listen, that ain't saying nothing about who I am and who you are. Think about it. Who are you? And were you someone that was created to be told what to do every day? How to move? Do you have ideas that will help your communities? They help your neighbors? Or are you just so selfish that you don't believe nothing matters but you? Y'all have a good day. Be blessed. I will talk to you soon. ifwbuilders@gmail.com.